You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports, we connect the dots so you know the actions you can take on your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. A very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Jim Norton.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling. Good morning, senor.
Good morning. I'm not sure if I could do this alone without my compadre.
Without your compadre. Okay. I don't know. I heard that you do things. Well, I'm not going to go there.
Well, we do.
Let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Got a lot to celebrate here today. Some of them, my team has to help me with. National States and Capitals. I think I understand that one. American Business Women's Day. Isn't that every day? Hobbit Day. Okay. I didn't understand this one because you know me. I can't read. And, maybe on a Audible. Do they have this on Audible, Josh? The Audible okay, they got it on Audible. And now, I can sit in front of the TV because Josh tells me it's coming out on Amazon today. So is this or is it Lord of the Rings is on Amazon?
Lord of the Rings on Amazon is out. Those movies are made.
Okay, I better move right along because obviously when it comes to this one, I know nothing. Let's see if I can get a little better on this one. Let's see. Today's American Business Women's Day, and it's also National Girls Night.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but we better not say anything, okay. Jim. We'll get in trouble. Whatever we say, we're going to get in trouble on that one. It's Ice Cream Cone Day.
There you go.
So, okay, wait. My team is getting on me. I don't know. I don't get this one. So earlier in the week, if you haven't been listening to Ron Siegel Radio, you've been blowing it. So earlier in the week, or last week, I kid my guys and my team about the fact that, they put on Butterscotch Pudding Day, and there was no whipped cream on the butterscotch pudding. So they decided they're going to get even with me. So they put whipped cream on everything. We had Pepperoni Pizza Day. We had whipped cream on it. Okay, I get it. That was good. I really like that. Today's National Ice Cream Cone Day with no ice cream. Let's get a little bit too literal here. Where do you get your favorite ice cream? And, I would have thought that Ice Cream Cone Day would have been on the 31st of the month. Why on the 31st of the month? Now, if you're old like me, you remember that you used to be able to go to Baskin-Robbins, 31 flavors, and on the 31st of any month that had 31 days, February, you couldn't go there for this. So on the 31st, you'd go there, and they had dollar scoops.
Right.
Well, now it's 31% off. So I would have thought they would have had National Ice Cream Cone Day on the 31st, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
National White Chocolate Day. Now, let's see if they. Okay, there's a place right by our studio here, Campanella's Cookies. Great cookies. White chocolate macadamia nut.
Yep.
Yeah, those are good. Those are some good cookies.
White chocolate martini.
White. I've never had a white chocolate martini. Mine is just vodka dry. Okay,
Straight up.
it's
Oh, you're
straight
a
up.
traditionalist.
Straight. Well, no, we do throw in the blue cheese stuffed olives in there.
Nice.
But I digress. Let's see do we want to look at what the markets are doing today? It's already been a volatile day. So I don't know. It depends on what minute we're looking at that we check these things out. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average, right now it's up 147 points. The S&P 500 is up 25. The NASDAQ is up 74. Oil is down 68 cents a barrel. And the 10-year Treasury, if we want to look at that one, well, that one's up 14 basis points. Ow! That's painful. And what's going on? What's driving it? Well, something I think the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Even the weird loans we're able to get done for you. There's some really weird ones that have been coming across my desk, and we've been able to find folks to help you with that. 10-year Treasury, as I mentioned, up 16 basis points, 3.668 right now. S&P 500 is down 23. Well, is it down or is it up? It depends on what source I look at, because it seems like every time I go and check, we've got a different number for the S&P 500. So that's down, well, on Market Watch, it says down 27, and on MBS Highway, it says down 22. So you take your guess. Mortgage-backed securities, they're down 58 basis points right now, and that's actually an improvement from where they were earlier in the session. They were down about 90 basis points earlier. Why is all this happening? Well, before I get to that, I should tell you that OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. So they come out and they say that the 30-year conforming loan yesterday locked at 6.281, 6.281. But you say, Ron, the Freddie Mac came out this morning and said that the 30-year conforming loan is at 6.29. Rarely are they that close. But here's the issue: what Freddie Mac and the headlines don't tell you, because they don't want to explain it to you, is in order to get the 6.29 that Freddie Mac is talking about, you have to pay 1 point to get it. $500,000 loan, you're paying $5,000 to get that rate. Is that bad or good? Well, it is what it is. Doesn't matter whether it's bad or good. But let's give you the rest of the rates. The jumbo, 6.038. FHA, 6.053. USDA, for those of you in our rural neighborhoods, 6.115. And the best loan on the market for those who earned it, 5.962 is the 30-year VA loan. What's driving this market? Well, I can tell you what's driving the market. It's pretty simple.
Such an idiot. Such an idiot. Such an idiot.
Yeah.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, that's it. It's the Federal Reserve. They're driving this market, and they've come out basically and said they haven't got a clue what's going on. So here's the report. Yesterday, they hiked the Fed funds rate by 75 basis points. We told you that was going to happen. We already got that from their mole. We knew that that's what it was. Continued to beat the drum that inflation is still far too elevated. Initially, the markets sold off, but oftentimes there can be a ton of volatility on Fed Day, and there was. The bond market came all the way back, helped by comments from Powell that the Fed will not be selling mortgage-backed securities anytime soon, and closed the day slightly positive. So why is it down so much today? Well, as usual, the market appears to be digesting the Fed's projections negatively. It shows the Fed is losing control and does not have a good handle on inflation. Inflation is the arch enemy of all bonds. The Fed now expects an additional 125 basis points of hikes this year, which is probably going to be 75 basis points in November. And for Christmas, you're going to get another 50 basis points hike. Additionally, the Fed anticipates core PCE, that's inflation, to be at 4.5% at the end of 2022. Really? which is not a lot of progress from current levels towards their goal of 2%. Between the significant revision in Fed hike expectations and increase in inflation expectations, the market is believing the Fed does not have control on inflation, which the bond market hates. On the recession front, Powell said the chances of a soft landing are likely to diminish to the extent that policy needs to be more restrictive or restrictive for longer. Nonetheless, we're committed to getting inflation back down to 2%, unquote. This can be seen in their projections for growth, which is revised from 1.7% to 0.2%. That's the growth of the economy. They also believe the unemployment rate will go up to 4.4% next year. While the market believes the Fed does not have control on inflation based on their actions, they still may be overshooting their tightening as it takes time for the Fed hikes to have an impact. This can be seen in the 10-year, 2-year Treasury inversion, which went to 56 basis points yesterday. This is the steepest inversion we've seen since 1982 and signals from the market that we are headed for a recession if we're not already in one. Just crazy right now what we're seeing from the Federal Reserve. They just don't have a clue. Maybe it's because none of them have ever been out in industry themselves. They've all been either worked for the Federal Reserve or they're in academia. They haven't been out there to see what it's really like. They don't know what you're feeling when you see the inflation going up significantly faster than what wages are growing at. That's the issue right there. Now, bring it back to mortgages. What does this mean for mortgages? Once the market believes that the Federal Reserve has a handle on inflation, historically, we will see that mortgages will drop. That's the way it works. Mortgages go down when the market believes inflation is under control and they don't feel that pain, right? If inflation is going up at 4, 5, 6, 7%, or we look at it at 8.5%, because the Fed looks at core, they take out food and energy. But when you and I go to the store, we got to buy food. And we need energy. We need to run our air conditioners, heaters, put gas in our car, electricity if there is any, right? All those things are requirements. That's the bottom line of this whole issue. So once the market believes that the Federal Reserve has this under control, and the Fed says they don't believe they're going to hit a soft landing, what's that mean? A stronger recession. That's what that translates into. Probably already in a recession now, but it's going to get worse. There's going to be more layoffs. There's going to be more pain. As Neil Kashkari put it, we like the idea that the market dropped 1,000 points. We like the idea that there's going to be more layoffs. We like the idea that people are going to be unemployed. Where the heck did this guy come from? Send him back to, maybe he should go swimming in one of those lakes in Minnesota where he's at. Unbelievable. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. When we come back, what experts say will happen with home prices next year. Did you know you have more than one FICO score? And don't forget to use these credit card benefits. You're going to need everything you can get. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer, they have these solutions for you. Hey, go there. You know, you get a free credit report audit for it's not a free, it's $1, right? It's not, the audit itself is free. The specific credit report that's needed to pull into the audit costs $1. So for $1, you get a free credit report audit, and you'll be able to see exactly what's going on in your credit report. And you might even be able to correct it on your own, or the team over at Credit Sanitizer may be able to help you. Did you know you have more than one FICO score? Since FICO scores were introduced to lenders over 25 years ago, they have become the best known and most widely used credit score. But quite a bit has changed since lenders first started using FICO scores in 1989. Lender credit granting requirements, data reporting practices, consumer demand for credit, and consumer use of credit have all evolved to help lenders make more informed credit granting decisions and to help ensure you get access to the credit you need. The FICO score model has been updated periodically over the years. As an example, we use credit much more frequently than we used to. FICO scores have been updated to reflect this change in behavior. If we didn't, seemingly normal credit usage today would be considered a higher risk than in years past. The result is that there are multiple FICO score versions available, in addition to the most widely used version, FICO Score 8. If you are watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a chart of various FICO score models. And like I mentioned, FICO Score 8 is the most common. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. If you look at the charts there, there's, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30 different FICO score models. How do lenders use the new FICO scores? When a new FICO score version like FICO Score 10 or FICO Score 10T is developed, it's released to the market. From there, each lender determines if and when it will upgrade to the latest version. Some lenders make the upgrade quickly, while others may take longer. This is why some lenders are currently using different versions of the FICO score. As an example, FICO Score 5 at Equifax is the FICO score version previous to FICO Score 8 at Equifax. Other FICO score versions, including industry-specific auto and bank card versions, are also included in the FICO score products on myfico.com, so you can see what most lenders see when looking at your scores. FICO scores are evolving to keep up with modern behaviors and needs. Think of how people use different versions of computer operating systems or have older or newer generations of smartphones. They all share the same basic functionality, but the latest versions also have unique updated features to meet evolving user needs. So the flip phone is probably not quite the same as the iPhone 14. And I don't even know what model they're on Android or Google phones or whatever. But think of it that way. They're not the same, but you can still make a phone call on both of them. Same goes for FICO scores. The various FICO score versions all have similar underlying foundation, and all versions effectively identify higher risk from people from lower risk people. Every time the FICO score algorithm is updated, it incorporates unique features, leverages new risk prediction technology, and reflects more recent consumer credit behaviors. The end result is a more predictive score that helps lenders make more informed lending decisions, which ultimately makes the credit process easier, faster, and fairer. What was new with FICO Score 9? While the underlying foundation of FICO Score 9 is consistent with previous versions, there are several unique features that make up FICO Score 9. Any third-party collections, including medical, that have been paid off no longer have a negative impact. Medical collections are treated differently than other types of debt. Unpaid medical collections will have less of a negative impact on FICO Score 9. Rental history, when it's reported, factors into the score. This may be especially beneficial for people with a limited credit history. Introducing the FICO Score 10 suite, the most recent updated FICO Score version. FICO Score 10 relies on the same design and key ingredients of prior models, as well as captures the subtle shifts in consumer credit data that have occurred over 5+ years since FICO Score 9 launched, such as increasing the use of personal loans, especially for purposes of debt consolidation. As long as consumers practice good habits like consistently paying bills on time, lowering their debts as much as possible, and applying for credit only when needed, they can achieve and maintain a good FICO score. FICO Score 10T builds on FICO Score 10 by also assessing trended credit bureau data, which determines your scores. Scores that don't use trended data typically use the most recently reported month of data to drive certain components of the credit score, such as the most recently reported balance and or credit limit on the account. By contrast, the FICO Score 10T, the trended data, considers a longer historical time frame, the previous 24 months or longer, of the balance and or credit limit to get a more refined view of your credit risk. The trended data all allows the credit scoring model to determine what your trend is. Are your balances trending up, down, or staying the same? Someone whose balances are trending up may be a higher risk than someone whose balances are trending down or staying the same. FICO Score 10 and FICO Score 10T are currently available to lenders. Industry-specific FICO scores are FICO Score versions that are optimized for a certain type of credit product, such as auto loans or credit cards. The foundation of these versions is the same as the base FICO Score versions, but they are fine-tuned based on industry-specific behaviors. This helps ensure that lenders get optimal information and can make better decisions so that you get access to the right credit. So what's the difference between FICO scores and industry-specific FICO scores? Base FICO scores, such as FICO Score 8, are designed to predict the likelihood of not paying as agreed in the future on any credit obligation, whether it's a mortgage, credit card, student loan, or other product. Industry-specific scores incorporate the predictive power of base FICO scores while providing lenders a further refined credit risk assessment tailored to the type of credit the consumer is seeking. For example, auto lenders and credit card issuers may use a FICO auto score or a FICO bank card score, respectively, instead of a base FICO scores. FICO auto scores and FICO bank card scores have these aspects in common. Many lenders may use these scores instead of the base FICO score. It's up to each lender to determine which credit score they will use and what other financial information they'll consider in their credit review process. These versions range from 250 to 900, compared to the 300 to 850 for base FICO scores, and higher scores continue to equate to lower risk. Which score version is important? Well, you got to figure what you're using it for. Financing a car, applying for a credit card, purchasing a home, or refinancing a home. Your friends at creditsanitizer.com can help you with that information. That is Your Credit Matters, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. Your credit report is wrong. What are you doing about it? Find out what's wrong on it with that free credit report audit. You got to get the report. It costs $1. Whoa, there's a lot of stuff right there. Let's chat with Jim Norton this morning. Realty Pro 100. Got a lot going on there. So
a lot's going on right now.
So tell me about your thoughts about the Federal Reserve and what they're doing and interest rates, and how does that filter into you being an old timer in the world of real estate?
Well, yeah, you want to talk about, let's see, this is going to be the 7th recession in my career.
7, okay.
Been through it before. What's going to happen here?
Which is a good point, because you need a real estate professional that's been there
through this, right? Yeah. What you have to remember is some of the basic economic supply and demand. First of all, supply is still very low in Southern California, so this is not going to correct that issue. It's still going to be low supplies, and demand is still going to be high. The question is getting the two together, and that's the financing side. And that's where people are going to get a lot of confusion, because there's going to be so many numbers thrown out. And then they're going to be going, well, wait a minute, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I could have gotten a 3% loan. I'm not quoting anything. And today I'm at a 6% loan. Really, what you're going to just need to simply look at is say, okay, if I get a loan today, I see a house that I would like to buy as a buyer, and I get a loan today, it's going to be at 6%. What's my payment going to be? You have to stay on that payment. And can I afford that payment? Now, if you think if you're contemplating is it a good time to buy or a bad time to buy, well, if you locked it in at 6, you bought the house and it goes to 7, in your mind, it was a good time to buy.
You're a hero.
If you lock it in at 6 and it goes back down to 3 in a year, you'll say, well, what happened? But you also have to remember you can refi that back down to that 3. So given that, you actually are in a moment in time where you have an understanding of predictability in essence. You can predict that probably going to go up some more. Prices are probably going to retreat a little as demand does, because let's go down to the seller side. That's the buyer side. So the buyers shouldn't really give up as long as they can afford the payments. That's what they've got to stick with.
Yeah, and realize that for the most part, you're never ever going to pay off the loan.
For the most part, yes.
Right? Because the bottom line here is if history repeats itself, we've got a recession, either we're in one or coming, or we're going to stay. We're either in one, it's coming. We're in one and it's going to stay for a while,
right?
Or it's coming and we don't know how long it'll be.
Again, that's just a label. I think
one or the other, it's going to happen.
Being that the Ron Siegel radio show is a very simple show, and
I'm a simple man.
Simple terms. I think people have to think simple, and that is, what is my payment going to be today, and can I afford it? And
what I was wanted to get to, Jim, was the idea is, if we buy today at 6 or 6.5 or 7 or whatever the number is, doesn't matter. We're not going to keep that loan for 30 years.
No,
we're either going to move or we're going to refinance it.
Okay.
Or we're going to either refinance it to a lower rate, or we're going to refinance it to take out some equity for a rehab or a wedding or college, or for life happens.
Right. I mean, my personal experience, about 25 years ago, I refied a property for 7.5%. I couldn't have been more joyed. And I took out some cash to buy some, another property, but I could have been overjoyed at 7.5%. And, that's how I calculated it at that time for that price. And 7.5% was great, because everything else was 8.5%. And then over time, I got a call from the mortgage carrier. And do you know our rates are down to 4.5? Would you like to consider refining? It's like 3 basis points, 300
basis points.
300, excuse me. That's phenomenal. I'll take, I'll sit down.
Sure, absolutely.
And then it's still, it was like, who would have got, 4.5? That was phenomenal. And then it went to 3.5. And then some people, there are a few out there, but and again, it's not the norm, the average, at 2.5.
Best one I did as rates went down was and I love it because it was a VA loan at 2.25%, 30 years fixed.
There you go.
Love that idea.
Yeah,
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, what experts say will happen with home prices next year. And don't forget to use these credit card benefits, all that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. What experts say will happen with home prices next year. Experts are starting to make their 2023 home price forecasts. As they do, most agree homes will continue to gain value, just at a slower pace. Over the past couple of years, home prices have risen at an unsustainable rate, leaving many to wonder how long it would last. If you're asking yourself, what's ahead for the price of my home? Know that experts are now answering this question, and it's welcome news for homeowners who may have been led by the media to believe their home would lose value. Historically, home prices have appreciated at a rate near 4%. For 2023, the average of 6 major forecasters noted in a chart that I'm going to show you in a minute is 2.5%, while one, Zelman Associates, very, very good, very, very reliable firm, is calling for depreciation. The other 5 are calling for appreciation. And again, the graph is on the screen if you're watching on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490. Home price forecast for 2023, average of all 6, 2.5% up. Fannie Mae says 4.4% up. Home price expectation survey, which is over 100 economists, 4.1% up. Freddie Mac, 4.0% up. MBA, 3.1% up. The National Association of Realtors, 2.1% up. Zelman, 3% down. To understand why experts are calling for appreciation next year, look to economics of supply and demand. Jim Norton just told you about that. Dave Ramsey, financial expert, says, quote, the root issue of what drives house prices almost always is supply and demand. Have you ever heard that one before?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
There are 2 things that are driving home prices upward. First, the undersupply of homes on the market is an issue we continue to face in this country. We still don't have enough homes on the market for the number of people that want to buy them. To further that point, we're still in a seller's market nationally, and in that scenario, home prices tend to appreciate. Second, millennials are moving through their peak home buying years. Since they're the largest demographic behind the baby boomers, demand is not going away anytime soon. Bottom line, experts are calling for home prices to appreciate next year, although at a slower pace than the previous 3 years. That's good. The reason for this is simple. The dynamics of supply and demand, economics 101, are playing out in real estate and will continue for many years to come. And as I ask you all the time, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or borrow on real estate, give them my number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Continue our conversation. Jim Norton is with us. Realty Pro 100 is his company, doing this for at least since the turn of the century or before. I can actually use that, and it's true.
It really
It's before the turn of the century.
Before the turn of the century.
So before the break, we were talking about we're simple people. It's just, if I had to go to,
much easier to be simple.
I went to Economics 400 at Chapman College, and I was one class short of an economics degree. Probably should have done it way back then. But let's just stick with Economics 101, right? If you're a buyer, can you afford the payment?
Simple.
Very, very simple. Does the property meet your needs, and can you afford the payment? The price is not the major issue, because over time, it's going to turn out just fine. Just throw that out there. Over time, real estate goes up. So can you afford the payment? Now, Jim, let's talk about the seller's side.
Seller side. That's where the confusion, not confusion, but that's where the movement is going to occur. Because you're going to have a batch of sellers that are out there today are going to look at this and say, okay, all of a sudden there's going to be a slowdown in buyers out there. And so they're going to look at it and say, okay, first of all, you got to categorize them to, do you have to sell? So
that's a big issue, right?
Okay, so that's a big scale. So if you have to sell because of whatever reason, doesn't matter, then those people are going to hang in the market, and then they're going to either just wait to see if they get a buyer, or they're going to correct their price. And that's where you're going to get people looking, going, oh, prices are decreasing. And it's like, well, the market's correcting to the amount of buyers that are out there. And so again, maybe we're just saying, tomato, it doesn't really change anything. And then the rest of them are going to look at it and say, well, wait a minute, we really don't have to sell. Let's go ahead and pull it back off the market. Let's just wait out and see where it goes, and see if the buyer pool increases. And that way we can get our price that we want, because maybe there's retirement money in it. Maybe there's college money in it. So you never know what that situation is.
So if you missed our broadcast on Monday, I think it was Monday of this week, might have been Tuesday, I don't remember. It's one of those two. I actually did a whole scenario for sellers and discussed the idea, I think it was Tuesday, for sellers on why you do not need to go to a price reduction is your third option. Third option. Now, I know that there's some companies out there that like the idea of going for a fixed rate or cut rate programs. I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to throw this at Jim because he's the longtime realtor. I'm just a guy that does a little radio in the morning and done loans since 1983. What the heck, right? But so Jim, if you've got somebody that wants to buy a property, I know the code of ethics for the National Association of Realtors says you need to look at whatever's best for every client.
Right.
If you have a option of going to showing properties and you have clients that go on one of those websites and it says, here's a property that has a $1 commission. So you're going to be working hours and hours and hours for $1.
Yay.
That really excites you, right? You're probably not going to get out of bed for $1.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Standard right now is probably 2.5% to 3%. Is that fair?
On
the buyer commission?
I'm seeing more twos.
Twos.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think that's a problem with some sellers, is they're not getting the attraction because the agents.
Right there. That's the thing right there. They're not getting the attraction.
Right. I mean,
You mean commission that drives attraction?
it helps. I mean, if you're not buying anything and the sales clerk at a store is on commission and you're not buying anything, you just say, I'm looking. They usually leave you alone. But if you're buying, then they know, okay, I need to help you as much as I can because that's my commission.
So let's just use Nordstrom for an example.
The same thing with your waiter or waitress at a
I
restaurant.
thought you were talking about my weight again.
No.
No, but let's go to Nordstrom for a
Okay.
second. I want to throw you this question at you. Nordstrom, notorious. I don't know. Maybe they're not anymore, but it used to be they were their salespeople got paid a minimum wage plus commission.
Right.
The various vendors, especially in cosmetics or shoes or whatever, they got paid a spiff, an extra commission if they sold XYZ product over ABC product, right?
Right.
What are they going to show more?
They're going to show
XYZ.
Right, exactly.
Right? They're going to show the one that gets them more money.
Right.
Now,
I think that's just sort of human nature in business.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's called capitalism.
There you go. Now, let's go back to real estate. If you're a buyer's agent and I said to you, here's a whole bunch of properties, there's most of them are at 2, you told me.
Mhm.
Some are at 2.5 to 3 is what I suggested.
Mhm.
And the one that you've got listed right now, Jim, they're going to give 4 or 5% to the buyer's agent. Are they going to push that property?
Oh, yes.
They're going to call everybody they know and say, I've got 123 Main Street available, and I think you need to see it.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell us why, but I think you need to see it.
Right. I mean, it's
attraction.
It's still right, but it still comes down to the buyer's agents. I mean, the buyer is still going to look at it and say, well, yeah, you get 4% commission.
Buyers don't know what you get.
But it's only a 1-bedroom.
Well, it's got to be
That's not going to happen. So,
it goes to suitability.
What I'm saying is people are thinking in their mind going, well, they're just going to put any kind of, product in front of you. No, they're going to still be looking for the 4-bedroom,
Right.
3.5 bath that you want. But they're going to be, if they have a choice between 5 different properties, they're going to put the first one on top. It's going to be the one with a higher commission for them.
So I've got a database of people who are looking for properties, and I've got some 2-bedroom properties at 2%, and I've got some 3-bedroom properties at 2%, and I've clients for those. And I've got a 4-bedroom property, 4 to 5%, and I've got clients for that as well. Who am I going to focus my time on that day?
You're going to work your pocket. You're going to work the best pocket, which is that 4.
Right. You're going to work that 4-bedroom because that's what those clients are looking for. That's what's suitable for them.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, I make more money. Right.
And so
it's going to bring more attraction to that property. That's just one idea for something to do before you lower the price.
Yes.
Because if I can go and increase the commission by 2%.
Well, you're already at, let's say you're already at 2.5. So let's say you add extra 1% on top.
Well, add a 1.5, so we go to my 4.
Or go for 1.5.
Add a 1.5 on there. So on an $800,000 property,
you're going to get the attention of a lot of agents.
You're going to get a lot of attention.
Exactly.
And on an $800,000 property, your price reduction is going to be $24,000 on norm. 3% is basically the normal price reduction, right? So now we're going to go a 1.5% on the commission. So we've saved 50% net for the seller. Right. So think about that. Would you rather give up $12,000 in commission? Now I'm going to suggest, Jim, that maybe that 1.5% costs you absolutely nothing. I'm going to suggest that. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. I don't know if we're going to get to it. I'm going to look at our clock and see. I'll talk to Josh in the break. We may or may not be able to get into. Don't forget to use these credit card benefits, all that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306. Josh is looking at me like I'm nuts. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. As I suspected, I talk too much, and there's so much going on in the market right now with the Federal Reserve. We went a little bit long, so the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by the National Institute of Financial Education and our friends over at creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it's wrong. I'm not going to go into the story today and tell you about credit cards. I am going to tell you, take advantage of that credit report audit that Credit Sanitizer is offering. Go to creditsanitizer.com, creditsanitizer.com. Get the credit report. Cost you $1 for the report. You're going to send us the information, the credentials for that report. We're going to run it through our system and give you a free audit, multi-page audit. I want to get back to our conversation with Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100. So we're talking about things that sellers can do without reducing the price or maybe even make more money. So Jim, before the break, I made the comment that we've got an $800,000 property. It's a hypothetical property. Mm-hmm. And it was listed because there's so many that you're seeing. I don't see this, but so many have a buyer's agent commission of 2%. Mm-hmm. And the norm, the traditional or the average initial price reduction is about 3%. So on this $800,000 property, that's $24,000. And I said, keep the property at $800,000, but increase the buyer's agent commission by 1.5%. So we're going to go to 4% total. 4%, the increase of 1.5 is $12,000. So right there alone, we're saving 50%.
Correct.
Now, if you get 20 different agents out there looking in their database, and each agent has a database of, say, 1,000 people, and maybe each agent has, out of that 1,000, 5 people that are looking for that 4-bedroom house. It's all suitable. So it's the right property, right price range, right community, right area, right location.
You just got 100 potential buyers.
You just got 100 potential buyers. Right. Now, if you bring 100 potential buyers into one property in a 2 or 3 hour time window, would I be far-fetched to say you may get more than that $800,000 for that property?
You could, but you could be more. I think it's more realistic that you're actually just going to get some offers and some conversation going. And
when you get
which
multiple,
I think is a weak point today, is that people aren't,
Well, when you get multiple offers, what happens? You get 4 or 5 people that all offer you the full list price.
Right.
What is your job now as the listing agent?
Our job is to
go back to them and say, try again. Give me a little more money because I've got 4 people.
Well, a lot of people like to use best and final. I prefer is to, first of all, what's your terms?
Right.
We've talked about this on the show before. Is like, first of all, I think you also have to get into the detail of their terms. It's one thing to say, we'll give you 800,000, 20% down, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. What are your actual terms? Can you close in 15 days? Is it all cash?
Let's just make us the assumption that they're all the same.
Let's say they're all the same. Then in that case, you're going to go back with you're going to go back and say, okay, guys, try again. And then you're going to start.
And the price might go to 8.
Bidding war going. And
so the increase there is going to be $15,000. That's the normal funds on price.
You'll probably
increases.
get your 12 back for sure.
Right. So you're going to go to 815, and then you might go to 825. Right.
Right.
So the idea there is your incentive didn't cost you anything.
No, it's actually just created a bidding war for you.
That's option one.
Well, option one.
Now, what if I said to you, Jim, because I'm the lender side of this, that maybe we can advertise a 2.99% interest rate on a 30-year loan in today's market? Think that'll get some excitement?
That's gonna launch a couple of people in there real quick.
Okay, so we want to increase the price of the property to say $840,000. And I'm going to ask you as the listing agent, will you ask your client to give me that $40,000 back to help buy down the interest rate?
Right.
There's a possibility, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's not costing the seller anything.
No, he's still getting the same 800.
He's still getting the same 800.
Right.
So now you got 40,000. And generally what happens here is that 40,000, I'm not going to use exact numbers. I'm going to say, here's the theory, the thesis, the hypothetical, is that's going to drop 1.5% on whatever the interest rate that you earn is. So say you're at, and I know that the number was higher yesterday, but I'm just saying 6%. So now you're going to bring that down to 4.5%. And we do a 2-1 buy down on that.
Right.
So we're going to go at 2.5% for the first year, 3.5% for the second year, and 4.5% for the next 28 years.
Right. That's a great program. I mean,
does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense because, and as a buyer, you have to be looking at this, and if you're not being presented this kind of information, you better find somebody that understands this, because this is what's out there and is available. Depending on how you qualify, of course, but that is a viable alternative. It's not just so much that, oh my goodness,
now, Jim, you did real estate in 2009, right?
Yes.
Well, as much as real estate was being sold in 2009 and 2010, and 11, all the distressed property world, that whole distressed property era.
That's all the distressed property coming out of the 05 crash.
Right.
By 08, it was all up there because of the mortgage and
filtered out. Did you have to find creative and out of the box ways of getting real estate moving real estate at that time?
Oh yes, because the buyers had completely, they were the opposite. They were just interest rates weren't too bad,
Right.
but at the same time, it was they just never knew where the bottom of the pricing was going to be.
So you had to be a little more outside the box. You couldn't be that internet lender
right.
that says click here for this.
Yeah.
Right. Or go to the Amazon or Walmart of realtors and say, okay, we're going to buy this, because you were involved in a short sale that took 14 months.
Right.
Right. And you had to know how to navigate that whole system.
And you have to keep your client focused for that 14 months, that when you come out of this, you're going to come out with what you want. But it's a lot of work. It's going to be a long road to get there.
But you've got that experience, right?
Right. But we haven't even gotten to that point yet.
Right.
I mean, this still could be done in 45 days.
Absolutely. Yeah, these can be done quickly.
Right.
So my point is you need to have, if you're getting ready to sell your house, you need an agent that's been there before. It's simple. I'm not getting anywhere into rocket science here. I'm not even rocket loans, but rocket science, right? It's simple stuff. You don't want to go to the heart surgeon that's getting ready to do his very first open heart surgery. Just throw that out there. Everybody starts, but you need somebody that's got experience, or if you go to that first timer, ask them who their mentor is, because they might be helping them. Great information. If you want more, you want to talk to Jim Norton about selling your house, give me a call, 800-306-1990. I'm happy to put you in touch with them. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean, who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
My boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call